If you're a barber, you're gonna want to hear this, okay? Probably one of the best things I ever did for myself because you're one video away from changing your life. Like, I hope you understand that barbers aren't really gonna support you like that, and that's just the sad reality. You don't do it, then somebody else will. All right, guys. So welcome to the Built for More podcast. I am your host, Paco. And today we're doing something a little different. Today we're going to be going over a whole training, a whole mastermind. So stay put. If you're a barber, you're going to want to hear this. Okay. So I get this a lot, especially like in my industry, where a lot of the times barbers always tell me, "Oh, shooting content is so hard, or I don't have time." All this, crazy stuff. So I'm going to give you my framework on how I do my stuff and how I actually film content while under pressure. Because I get it. Like a lot of the times we don't have the time to film content because XYZ, we're booked up, we're back to back with clients, and sometimes we just don't have the time to is this thing recording? So but yeah, so I was saying, like, a lot of the times we don't have the time, right? Like, I get that a lot, especially with like barbers. They always tell me that, oh, I don't have time to film content, I don't have time for this, XYZ. But let me ask you this, like when I started filming content, I knew it was going to be hard, but I always knew that at some point I had to put myself out there, especially if I wanted to be successful in this business. And honestly, probably one of the best things I ever did for myself, because I can tell you right now that I wouldn't have been charging what I'm charging if it wasn't for social media. And I get that a lot too, where it's like, oh, it's just social media. Like, I don't need to post. I don't need to do this and that and what and this and that and the third. But you're doing yourself a disservice if you don't post. Like, you need to understand that you don't have a business problem. You have an awareness problem, because think about it. How much more would you be booked out if people knew about you? And I say this with I say this not so lightly, because it's the truth. Like, you have to understand that a lot of the times nobody knows who you are, so you're not gonna make as much sales. But if people know who you are, then it's a full game. So yeah, I get this a lot, especially like in this industry where it's always like, I don't have a time to record it. But let me ask you this. If you're doing 30-minute haircuts, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing? It's 2025. You shouldn't be doing 30-minute haircuts anymore. Like, I definitely think that nowadays paying $40 a haircut is sort of a premium. And that's like the norm where I'm from, is $40, $50 a haircut. And that's a blessing if you think about it. Like, when I started cutting hair, I started at a shop and I was only charging $13. $13 a cut. But with tip, sometimes I'd get 20, right? That's like the most I'd get. And I never took it for granted, because I knew that this was the beginning. I was making $400 a week in the beginning of my career. Like, that's the crazy part. And now that I'm making $400 a day on a slow day, like, it's crazy to me, because I used to pray about times like this. Like, I know what it's like to like walk into a shop, especially a new shop, where you have nobody to cut. You know, you have nobody to cut. You're literally sitting on your phone all day. Like, I know what that feels like. But if you're not recording content, especially at least filming yourself, like putting yourself out there and stuff like that, like, you have to at some point realize that you're paying too much to not do the damn thing, like not do the you're paying way too much to not shoot content. you know you're paying way too much to pay. You're paying way too much to not. Ignorance is expensive. Being ignorant, especially in this industry, is very expensive. Like, I see it all the time, especially with barbers. They just don't want to do the work. Like, they see me post content, and it's like, you don't take in consideration that I've been doing this for 6+ years. So I know what it's like to start from nothing. And if I had to start from nothing, what I would do is I would automatically start with satisfying clips. I would start with satisfying clips because the average consumer, the average person doesn't care about cutting hair the way barbers do, right? And at the end of the day, you're not, sort of say, you're not really like trying to get barbers in your chair anyways. You're trying to get the civilians or people. Like at the end of the day, barbers aren't really going to support you like that, and that's just the sad reality of it, you know. So posting content really changed my life, you know, because it really did show me what is possible with just your phone, like literally your phone, you know. And I see it all the time, especially with new barbers, you know. And they always talk about how, oh, should I record on the camera or should I record on the phone? No, you don't need a camera. You need whatever you got. Whatever you got is good enough to start. Okay. So the first thing I would do is, if I was in your shoes, if I didn't haven't shot content at all, I would use my phone and I would get 3 clips. I would get 3 clips of hair falling off, a satisfying action, or a difference being made. That is the framework of what I follow for my content. Okay. So it's hair falling off, satisfying action, a difference being made, and then the result. The result is the given. That's kind of why I didn't include it the first time, because it's like you're gonna go to the gym for what? You're gonna work out. It's a given, you know. So that's the framework that I follow every single time when I create content. How can I make this as satisfying as possible for, or engaging as possible for, the average consumer? Because again, the average consumer doesn't care about they don't care about like like when you're making content, you're not supposed to cut hair the way you cut hair. And what I mean by that, you're not supposed to cut hair like a tutorial. Like people don't care about how to do a low taper unless you're trying to provide value and create a brand aside from building a business, right? But for the most part, average consumers don't care about uh, they don't really care about that type of stuff. That all they really care about is being entertained, you know. And that exact framework, I can promise you, can help you generate leads or new people in your city. Like I was able to generate. So I see it all the time. Like barbers want to blame the barbershop, right? They want to blame the barbershop. They want to blame why they're not busy. It's because of the barbershop. No, that's not it. Okay, that is not it. It is you. Like I'm sorry to put it that way. Like I don't mean to be mean, but that's the truth. Like you have to literally at some point own up to it. You know, at some point you have to look in the mirror and be like, you know what, maybe it is me. Like I know barbers that will jump shop to shop because of XYZ. Like I get it. If you're jumping from shop to shop because you're like the shop is not professional, that's leave, right? Or the shop is like dirty or whatever, right? Or there's just too much going on, you know. And I've been in that situation too, to where like I've been made fun of because I was making content. Like back in 2018, when I was just starting off in where I'm from, and I had just moved from the shop where I was at, so I was already cushioned. I had clientele base. I was making $25, pretty much $25 every 30 minutes, and I was booked out. I wasn't really getting a new clientele. And that's one way you can tell if you're plateaued, is if you're not getting a new clientele. Like that's a telltale sign that you're not growing your business if you're not gaining clientele. Like you have to at some point realize that if you're not getting new clientele into your business, then your business is not growing. That's just it, you know. So social media really did just change my life from realizing that, okay, maybe maybe if I were to put myself out there and put my face out there and people would realize, maybe it will resonate with the right people. Because at the end of the day, if you put it into perspective, you don't need to cut 200 people a week. Like that's crazy. Like I know barbers that cut up, like they'll cut like 97 people a week. That is crazy to me. Like if you were to take your job just a little bit more serious and like just, you know, stop doing 30-minute haircuts, go up to an hour. And I get it, you know, especially if you're doing $30 haircuts at an hour. I get it. You want to get that 60 an hour. I totally get it. But what if I told you, if you were to shoot content for that hour and then you were to raise your prices from 30 to 50, now you're making 50 an hour. Like now you're making good money because, and not only that, you're also pushing quality. Like at the end of the day, like that's what you're ultimately trying to do anyways, because you don't want to be like every other barber out there, you know. And that goes with any business. Like, you have to put yourself out there. Like, that's just how it is. Like, you have to put yourself out there to the point where you have to realize that if you don't do it, then somebody else will, you know. And I recently learned that you have to realize that at some point there has to be a give, because if you don't, then somebody else is going to do what you're trying to do, and then you're going to be like, crap, I could have done that, you know. But yeah, no. So I get that a lot too. But another thing that I get a lot is, well, it's because I what if I lose my clientele if I raise prices? Well, that's gonna help it happen at any price. Like, people will leave you just because you went up $5. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's crazy. Like that person isn't for you, you know. And one thing I realized is the crowd from charging high ticket to low ticket is completely different. I'd rather solve problems for the high ticket people because they actually appreciate it, opposed to the people that are low ticket. Because 9 times out of 10, the people that are the people that are paying low ticket for haircuts, they will try to take advantage of it. Oh, well, it's cheap. It's cheap. Let me see what else I can get out of it. Opposed to when you're high ticket and you take yourself more serious, you know what you're getting yourself into. Like, okay, I'm paying $100 for this haircut. This haircut, it's gonna be fire. Like, I already know it. Like, you know what I mean? So I would rather deal with a high ticket community than a low ticket community for that reason. And I definitely think that if barbers would just take themselves a little bit more serious, then they would definitely reap the benefits of social media and all the good stuff, you know? And back to what I was saying, like you're one video away from changing your life. Like, I hope you understand that. Like, when you make content, you're literally one video away from changing your life or your business. And especially in barbering, you know, it's a perfect time to get into cutting hair content, because there's so many people doing it that you can literally just study other barber stuff, and you can go from there, you know. But if you really want to get strategic with content, I do coach barbers and stuff like that. So, and one of the things that I do teach in my community is cover principles, thumbnails, and stuff like that. Like, you have to realize that thumbnails are covers for your videos that speak without saying anything. Like, that's what's going to make people stop what they're doing, click on the video, and stay. And you better hope you package it perfectly, or in a way where they don't want to scroll away from that video. You know what I mean? So that's one of the things that I teach in my community, and it's worked for me, and it's worked for a few other people, you know. And another thing that you can be doing too is posting 3 haircuts of your daily haircuts on your story, like every single day, with location. And if you're at a shop, if they have Instagram, which I hope they do, post that on there, and that's how you're going to get more eyes on you, you know. So that's another good way to generate clientele if you're just starting out as a barber, is post your 3 haircuts daily on your story. And especially if you're just starting out, I would definitely suggest giving out free haircuts. Like 9 times out of 10, people will be generous, and they'll still pay you anyways because of the gesture, you know. So what I would do is I would go online, and I would message 25 people a day. Like, hey, what's up? My name is so and so. I work at the shop. I would love to give you a free haircut. If you're ever interested, tap the link below, and ignore the price. Ignore the price, and I will see you here. 9 times out of 10, you know, if you do the job the way I know you can do it, 9 times out of 10, what's going to end up happening is that person is going to pay you your price anyways, because of the gesture you did for them. You know, at the end of the day, like, I read this in a book, and it's really resonated with me, because I know how to give naturally without expecting anything in return. So in this book, called The Magic of Thinking Big, it talks about, if you focus on the service first mentality, hear me out. If you focus more on the service first mentality, the money will take care of itself later. Come on, like, somebody, like, That is huge, especially in the service industry, because a lot of people think that, oh, I'm not gonna give him a haircut. I'm not gonna provide the service until someone pays me. Like that. That's one way of thinking, but it's not a good way of thinking. So I definitely think that if you were to just focus on just putting yourself out there, giving free haircuts, focus on the service first mentality, focus on servicing people, being out there for people. How can I help? Like I would love to give you a free haircut, and then the money will take care of itself later. And those are for only new people that you've never cut up before. Like I said before, like I wouldn't give free haircuts to clients that are already paying you. I mean, if you want to, that's cool. But at the end of the day, you're also a business, and I say that very lightly. I don't mean to sound like like a snob or anything, but I say that very lightly because you have to understand that people support you for a reason. You provide some kind of value. So when you say to a paying client that's already in your chair, that's been in your chair for I don't know how long, you're pretty much saying, "Oh, I don't believe in my value." You know. So I would definitely only do that I would only do that strategy for new clients only, clients that you've never cut up before, because you they will actually treat you better than your current clientele. And that's another thing too that I wanted to touch base on is a lot of barbers are married to their clientele. Like a lot of barbers would rather cut up their friends than make new connections with people. You know what I mean? Like I know I heard of this story where this one guy went to the shop and a brand new shop. Like he's never been to the shop. He booked a haircut on the app on Booksy or whatever, and the barber ended up moving his appointment. And in my head, I'm like, why would you move his appointment if that's the time that he wanted? And I understand if something happens, you know what I mean? I understand, but when I heard the rest of the story, I was okay. This guy is just trying to like get out of doing this haircut. Um, so he moved his haircut to like 3 o'clock or whatever. He walks into the shop around like 2:55. They sit down. The receptionist comes up to him and says, "Hey, do you have an appointment?" He's like, "Yep, yes, I do." He says his barber's name, and the barber, the receptionist was like, "Hey, he'll get you right now after this guy." And the what's it called the client got really upset, and because he booked two haircuts for him and his son, and he got really upset because he's like, what's the point of booking a haircut if I'm just going to get moved? Like, you know what I mean? I definitely agree with him, especially since like I'm sure he was paying 35-40 bucks, and that's still like a good amount for a haircut. So and then what really adds to the story was not only did they make him wait, but the barber went up to him and asked him if another barber could cut up his son. That right there was really disrespectful, and the guy did everything he could to like hold his composure, but he was really upset. He pretty much cussed him out and left. And at the end of the day, like that's the barber's fault. Whoever that is, that sucks for you, bro. I don't understand why barbers do that. I really don't. So and then I guess he goes to another shop, and the service was good, the haircut wasn't. So he was like, whatever, I guess. And then he goes to another shop and he walks in and he asks politely like, "Hey, do you guys take walk-ins or whatever?" And the barbers looked at each other and they're just like, "No, we don't, but we could take you." So they took him, but the service was horrible to where he felt so uncomfortable. And that's a prime example of service first, the quality second, and it just comes on a full circle because it's how you package your services. You know what I mean? If it's a quality service, a quality haircut, that's a phenomenal package. So you can literally charge whatever you'd want, but you have to reflect that. So I just thought that was crazy. Like I don't understand, and that's one of the things that I really don't like about this industry is that I see a bunch of barbers that are cutting hair now, and they just don't want to cut hair when it comes down to cutting hair. It's like, then what's the point of even cutting hair if you were if you were just like if you are just doing it just for the title? Like I don't get it. I don't get it. But yeah, so the framework of how I shoot my content is pretty simple. like I said before, if you watch this whole thing, I really do appreciate you. So the framework is you got to do hair falling off, satisfying clip, and the difference being made, ending with a strong showcase. The strong showcase, if you get people to funnel in to the last part of that showcase, that's what's going to get people to book with you. So if the haircut's obviously trash, then you're going to have a hard time getting people in, especially at high ticket, you know? So yeah, so if you guys really like this masterclass, I really like doing these things, and I would love to do more of them. So if you guys really like this podcast, and if you guys want to get coached by me, if you guys have any questions, please drop them down in the comments below, and I would love to talk to you guys. Okay, so I'll see you guys on the next one.